Oh, that's beautiful beach up ahead. Welcome back to the channel. Here are some thoughts the day after the second test in Melbourne. And we're driving from Melbourne towards Sydney. Going to take a couple of days on this stretch. We do actually have a flight, don't we, later tonight?
We did.
We did have. Well, we still technically do, but we're not going to take it because we're in a car instead. So yeah, there's Lewis. Matt is in the back. And yeah, I just thought, got a little bit of time. We've been stopped off at Phillip Island to see some penguins. Saw none. So, you know, cheers for that, Lewis.
We saw them sleeping.
Nailed it.
I saw
one's bottom.
Yeah, that's it. We saw a pigeon backside, and that was that. But some thoughts on the game the day after. Please let me know yours in the comments down below. I had a long day yesterday with the boys. It was outstanding. And so I did say at the start of yesterday's video that it's very, very unlikely I will be accurate, or certainly I wouldn't be full in my thoughts on the game. But I've watched a chunk of it back. I've reflected on what I thought of the game. And first and foremost, what an absolutely awesome occasion. Such a privilege to be there. Travelled across the world on my first ever Lions tour, and I was there at what many people regard as one of the great Lions games. Now, when I say that, I don't mean in terms of the quality, because I think the quality was not there. This is not a vintage Australia team, and it wasn't a vintage Lions performance, but just in terms of pure spectacle and drama, and a last-minute try to win a Test series. To be able to say I was there, I feel very, very lucky, and I love that stadium. I just want to say as well, the Aussie fans, so good. Now, they have a bit of a reputation. Sorry, Lewis, who is an Aussie. You have a reputation for being quite sort of arrogant about the sporting prowess, with good reason. They're great athletes, good sports people, good record of winning stuff for a country with, you know, relatively small population compared to others. They punch above their weight, but not a single Aussie that I spoke to after the game had any complaints. And I think they were just, you can tell they're a really knowledgeable, rugby union's in a tough place in Australia, but they're a really knowledgeable bunch of fans who took that with such good grace and said you can't win a game when you score 3 points in 60 minutes. It was an incredible start for Australia, or maybe 50 minutes it was. Incredible start for Australia, brilliant first half, heroic performance, but the gas ran out of the tank, and it was a brilliant comeback from the Lions. I will say the Aussie fans have been brilliant. The Aussie pundits, however, are absolutely ridiculous. I've caught up with what they were saying on Stan Sport following the game, both in commentary around that final decision, which meant that Hugo Keenan's try stood, and in particular the pundits after the game. Morgan Turanui, I don't know if he's saying it just to be a troll, but the guy is absolutely ridiculous. So the way I saw that, I mean, just such wild takes, it just doesn't help anyone, and it certainly doesn't help the spectacle of the Lions and the feeling people will have from around the world towards Australia. So I just wanted to say the fans were brilliant, the pundits dreadful, and making such a meal out of that. Well, Morgan Turanui made more of a meal out of that incident at the end with Carlo Tizzano and Jack Morgan than Carlo Tizzano made of the clear out that Jack Morgan put in on him. So again, just to say what I think about that, absolutely perfect clean out from Jack Morgan. Did he hit anywhere near the head area of Carlo Tizzano? Yeah, he did. Does that mean it should be chalked off? No. And I'll tell you why. Because Carlo Tizzano was in, if you want to go by the letter of the law, Carlo Tizzano was in an illegal position. You're meant to, if you read the law book, you're meant to not move your head below your waist. But at the international level of the game, players get away with that every single game, every single ruck. So consequently, you can't then complain about the consequences of that, which is the back of your neck's a little bit exposed and is likely to get hit, which it does all the time. You could look at that two ways. You could say if that incident happened in the first minute of the game, Jack Morgan might have had a penalty against him. Alternatively, you can say if that happens in the first minute of the game, Carlo Tizzano doesn't try and make a big meal of it and no one even mentions it, which is what I would say about that. So it's a shame for such a brilliant game that there's a contentious issue. I do think there's one other contentious issue, which I'll be interested to know what you think about this. I'll tell you what, let me show you what I'm seeing just as I carry on. Which is just coming out of we're still in Victoria, right?
Yep.
We're heading north towards Sydney, and we're going to stop at, where are we stopping? Near some lake somewhere.
Lake Entrance.
Lake Entrance. Are you sure that's not just like the sign?
Genuinely called Lake Entrance.
It's called Lake Entrance.
Things what they are.
You call things what they are in Australia, apparently. So anyway, so yeah, the Dan Sheehan try. So my thought on the Dan Sheehan try is that quite possibly that could have been illegal. I did think at the time, is that you're not allowed to dive over players, are you? And I think Dan Sheehan may have dived over his opponent there, but got away with it. And you could argue, well, it's in the act of scoring a try, but I think he might have just been quite clever and used the law to his advantage. So that one I could have more thinking man soldier. Yeah, that I could have more of a sympathy with anyone who had an issue with that try than the last one. And what a moment for Hugo Keenan as well, and the Lions, and you can see what it meant to them afterwards. It does mean that the game that we're going to in Sydney at the weekend is, I don't want to say a dead rubber, because the Lions are out for 3-0, Australia are out to get a bit of pride, but I imagine the Australian public are going to be not, I don't know, Lewis, what do you reckon?
Oh, I think we'll get behind the boys.
Get behind the boys? Okay, good. Well, I hope so. I do hope so. And on Australia, let's just say, absolutely outstanding. They were. It should not be underappreciated how good they were in that match, particularly in the first half. You could argue when the post-mortem is done on this Lions tour that Joe Schmidt made a bit of an error with just the one warm-up game and Australia were undercooked, because look how much better they were this week to last week. But there was fight, there was grit. Bobby V just went out there and ended people. Will Skelton was an absolute nuisance. Lenny Kitao and Joseph Suaalii is a world-class operator. He is absolutely exceptional. And they smoked the Lions in that first half, and at one point 23 points to 5 up. And fair play to the Lions for coming back, because 18 points up at international level, that should be too much. But the Lions had 8 great players on the bench, 15 players on the pitch, who eventually managed to click into gear, and the Wallabies just could not quite take it to the Lions. And you just think there was one moment in the second half when they made a break. I think it was Tom Wright, and I almost think he should have backed himself. And had he done so, who knows how different it might have been. I think Tom Liner made a bit of an error, if I'm just remembering as well, which could have led to a try. But anyway, I thought Tom Wright, I've mentioned, I thought he was the best player on the pitch. Should have got man of the match. I'll come to the Lions players in a minute. I thought him and Max Jorgensen. Like, everyone's talking about Henry Pollock, about Suaalii, but how old's Max Jorgensen? He must be 21. Yeah, he's young. He's one of the best young players in the world. So Australia have got some good players. When you map forward 2 years, if they can keep Suaalii, they're getting Mark Nwanganituase back. Lenny Kitao is absolutely class. They just need a 10. And I think they could be going somewhere. They need a bit of depth at prop as well. And I wonder again, when the post-mortem is done, if Joe Schmidt is regretting no Taniela Tupou or even Lakai Salakai Lotto, because look how much difference it made when you had guys that could bang, like Skelton and Valentini and Langy Gleeson off the bench as well. So yeah, they had some fight. As for the Lions, I'll tell you what, I'll just rattle through the players with a few thoughts. Made a couple of notes on the players. Andrew Porter got stuck right into 7A. Alan Alatoa had a torrid time up against them. Although Porter was at fault for Jake Gordon's try. Him and Tyg Furlong both got done by Jake Gordon. Sheehan is elite. Absolutely elite. And in the first half, when very few Lions players played well, Dan Sheehan was probably the one guy, certainly the one guy in the pack, who actually stood up and did a job. His try might have been illegal, but he was one of the pick of the Lions forwards. Tyg Furlong, he was good, strong in the carry, good in the scrum. As I mentioned, done by Jake Gordon. Maro Itoje, man of the match, straw poll, three lads in the car. Anyone think that was a good call?
No.
Having watched bits of it again, he did definitely...
Some of the turnovers, I think.
Yeah.
Got it for him.
Do you know what he does? Which I think the TV will show more than what you see in a game. He's just an absolute menace the whole time. You just see him, every breakdown, he's just making the opposition work.
Sir, he started it.
Yeah, but he should... yeah, you're right. For purely that, he should not have been man of the match. He started it, sir.
Don't tell your ghost stories.
Yeah. So I thought he had a good game, but wouldn't have been man of the match for me. Ollie Chesham, I don't think he would have been man of the match. He didn't have a great night. He worked hard, but one of the things you get from Ollie Chesham is kind of, I don't know, strong in the carry, but it just goes to show Australia were just out for it, because Ollie Chesham got walloped every time I saw him carry. Tyburn had a really tough first half, but the class told in the end. He got the try, was a menace as the game went on, and that experience of guys like Itoje and Byrne came to the fore. Tom Curry might have been a contender for man of the match for me. He only played 56 minutes. I think if he'd have stayed on longer, he might have been man of the match. He is awesome. Yeah, destructive, that's the word. Coming from the back of the car and absolutely bang on. He's world class, and that's one of the key moments. Everyone's going to be talking, rightly so, about Hugo Keenan's winning try, but a mention for Tom Curry's test match saving tackle on Suaalii to dislodge the ball. It was unreal. And when you think about the criticism that guy was having 10 days ago when he was selected for the first test, I don't know if he'll play in the third test because the game's won. What will Andy Farrell do selection wise? But if I was picking a player of the series, Tom Curry is that man right now. I thought he was immense. Jack Conan, less so. He messed up that try. He worked really hard, but he, again, much like Ollie Chesham, was not getting the win in the collisions. But he kept on going as Jack Conan does, and he's a series Lions winner. Right, that's the starting pack. Backs, I thought overall were not great for the Lions. Found a way in the end. Jamison Gibson-Parker's kicking was off. His radar was off. Did a lot of nice things and brought the control, because actually outside him, in general play, Finn Russell just had a bit of an off day as well. The halfbacks just weren't at their best. That probably speaks to the work that Australia did to get to them. Both of them, their kicking radar's a little bit off. Finn Russell with his goal kicking. But having said that, and to give Finn Russell massive credit, the kicks when the Lions went for touch and they had those penalties on around about halfway, and Finn Russell twice getting it to within 5 metres, which led to the tries, was just outstanding. And the guts to go for it like that and nail it on the biggest of stages, really good. Bundy and Hugh Jones, not convinced by that partnership. Hugh Jones, sort of the two shades of him. He got done by Bundy Aki got done by Joseph Suaalii for the Tom Wright try, I want to say it was. But then on the flip side, in the second half, some really important breaks. Not many line breaks from the Lions, and Bundy Aki got one of the big ones. And similarly, Hugh Jones, it was a penalty from him that led to Australia's first try, but then he showed a great finish to score that try himself. So a bit of a mixed bag for the centres. And then we get to the back three, where it's been the problem area for the Lions across these two games, and I think we're going to see changes in the third test. I think Mac Hansen, if he's fit and well, will come back in. I think Blair Kinghorn will come into the back three, possibly on the wing. Because Lowe and Freeman, it just hasn't happened for him this series. I thought James Lowe was the poorest of the players for the Lions. He really had a bad day at the office. Certainly that's what I saw. Although he did get the offload for that Tyburn try. Lovely little fend on, was it Ikitau? Fend, lift. That was a world-class moment in a very mediocre performance, and he's not been great. Nor is Tommy Freeman, who was brilliant. He was cooking coming into the test series, but they've been done by Jorgensen and Potter, and actually Potter going off was a big loss for the Wallabies. That it might have changed had it been different for that. And of course, Tommy Freeman got the yellow card. And then Hugo Keenan, who at the time, last night, I thought he had a bit of a stinker in the first half. And I would still maintain he found the first half pretty tough. It looked to us, didn't it, in the ground, like... Did it look to you like he just let the ball bounce a couple of times?
Far too much.
Let the ball bounce far too much. But then again, what you see when you're in the... Perception when you're in the ground, and particularly where we were sat on halfway, you're quite far back from the pitch. It looked to me like he let the ball bounce and it ended up in 50-22s. But watching it again, you could argue it was kind of, he saved the Lions' ass a few times, and he certainly did at the end of the game. So when you watch the extended highlights and stuff, Hugo Keenan actually stands out as having some really, really big moments. So I think that was slightly misjudged. And then for the bench, which I will rattle through, Genge, that fumble from Genge could have really cost the Lions, but the scrummaging continued to be really strong with him. Same with Will Stewart. Ronan Kelleher was solid off the bench. James Ryan came on and just smashed people. Gave away an important penalty, but just took names by walloping people. Jack Morgan and Owen Farrell didn't think they were particularly good off the bench. And so just so relieved for Jack Morgan that, you know, having got the biggest cheer of the day, because there was so many Lions fans from Wales, and having got the biggest cheer of the evening, if he'd have been the villain, that would have just been that would have been horrible. But and it would have been wrong, more's the point. But he didn't. And Blair Kinghorn I thought made a big impact off the bench, and I think he'll be in the starting lineup for next weekend. So there you go. Those are my thoughts the day after from the car in Melbourne. Any more for any more? No other thoughts?
I'm not so worried about the Rugby Championship coming up.
Okay, yeah.
Side note.
I am going to be going to South Africa actually to watch Australia against the Springboks. So you're not worried about the Springboks?
I mean, I think they should be worried about us now, let's be honest.
You are deluded, my friend.
I mean, I've not had much sleep, but I think...
You're about to have Wallabies for breakfast, lunch and dinner.
Right, okay. If you appreciate the content on the channel, then drop a little thumbs up on the video, hit subscribe. See you on the next one.